What's up, Model Brothers? It's Special Guardian. Welcome to part 3 of What If Harry had got the spider bite. So I really don't have anything to recap. If you guys want to recap, just go to the previous video, which is in the playlist section. So, anyways, without any further ado, let's get watching. So the story starts off with Harry with the Dursleys after a year after his second year of Hogwarts, and Harry is mostly bored with the Dursleys, so he finished his homework, which was given by the Hogwarts teachers. He receives his birthday gifts from Ron, Hermione, and Hagrid. Ron tells him about his tour to Egypt, and Hermione tells him her tour to France. Hagrid sends him a book of the new semester, which Harry doesn't know what the hell it is. Harry also gets a letter from Professor McGonagall about the village of Hogsmeade, and he needs a sign from the Guardian, which he easily gets because basically Harry can blackmail them, just into signing, which he does. I don't think Harry would have any remorse blackmailing him because they kind of ruined Harry's life mostly. So yeah, you guys might be thinking, how would Harry, a pure child, blackmail these people? But not blackmailing, it's like fear. The Dursleys fear Harry, and Harry is just taking use of it. Because his life was hell for the last 11 years. Before he got the spider bite. So yeah. Anyways, so the next day he sees a news on the TV about Sirius Black, which he doesn't understand. Then Vernon informs him about March, who is Vernon's sister, who will be coming to their house in a week. Harry decides not to do anything when she comes. So when she starts insulting Harry's family, Harry's anger spikes up and he runs away with his things. And Harry's anger spikes and his hands start sparkling, but then he realizes, he would get expelled if he used magic. But then he also realizes that Venom Shock isn't magic, it's basically his spider powers, and he has trained his spider powers to a little bit, to the point where he can differentiate between the magical powers and the spider powers. So he just menacingly starts walking towards Marge with his hands crackling. The Dursley thinks that he's using magic and they try to stop him, but no, Harry's not listening. He comes in front of Marge and asks her one more time. Marge, being the stupid woman she is, wants to, and she still insults Harry's father, and Harry shocks her. Yes, shocks her. I mean, Harry kind of like made her a big ass balloon, so him shocking her, it's not that big of a surprise. So Harry then he leaves the house with his luggage, and he runs away with his things, and then he meets a strange black dog, which also stares at him, and he also stares at it. And after staring for a bit, he realizes to just leave it, and then he slips up and falls down, and that's when the night bus comes, which means he accidentally calls for the night bus, and he gets inside, and that's when he learns about who Sirius Black is, that being Voldemort, about him, Voldemort and stuff, him being Voldemort's loyal follower or some shit like that. And then he reaches the Leaky Cauldron and he books a room for the rest of the time there. Then the next day he buys supplies for the week. He buys supplies until Ron and Hermione come, and then he meets both of them as well as the Weasleys. Hermione buys a Crookshanks with her remaining money, which Ron doesn't like, and because the Crookshanks is trying to eat Ron's pet rat, which Ron doesn't like. So anyways, the night Harry hears a conversation between Ron's parents, Arthur and Molly Weasley, and he learns about that when Voldemort was killed, Black lost everything and he's now trying to kill Harry. Harry realizes that his spider isn't going out, meaning he isn't in danger right now. And since he has learned to trust his spider sense, he does. and he's unconcerned about Black because he knows that his powers are enhanced than before after the basilisk venom in his body, which was healed by Hawks. Basically, his whole body got a power boost in the previous episode after the venom, basilisk venom was inside of him. So yeah, the next day when boarding the train, Arthur warns him about Sirius Black, but Harry doesn't really care about that. So the trio enter in a compartment with the man sleeping. So the trio just decide to let him sleep. Harry tells Hermione and Ron about the Sirius Black situation, and they talk. After several hours, a ghost-like figure comes into. No. The train stops and the air starts freezing, and Harry's sense goes ballistic. Basically, he gets ready. He gets his wand ready, which Hermione doesn't understand why he's doing. But that's when a sinister cloaked figure enters the compartment. It opens his mouth and sucks out the happiness of Harry, but Harry isn't gonna give up. When the cloak figure is sucking out Harry, I mean, it's kind of weird. So sucking out the happiness of Harry, lets his power out, causing a lightning blast, and a venom charge blast, which shocks like everyone in the compartment, as well as the Dementor. It just pushes Dementor back a bit, but that's when the man who was sleeping gets up and uses and drives it off with a spell. And then after Harry recovers, he introduces himself as Professor Lupin, Rumius Lupin, who is the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Lupin hands him and the others some chocolate and explains that the creature was a Dementor who was one of the Azkaban's guards, and they are searching for the train for Sirius Blacks. And after saying this, Lupin asks Harry about his lightning blast. Then Harry just makes up a lie about him being able to control some of his magic using wandless magic, and he can change it to lightning blasts, which Lupin and three are very impressed about, because it's super rare for people to just use magic without any wand. So Lupin leaves them three and goes to check on other people. After at Hogwarts, Harry gets asked a few questions, and Draco asks Harry over his reaction with Dementor. Now Ron replies with no, he doesn't care, but Harry with his enhanced senses sees that Draco's genuinely concerned about him, and which confuses Harry, because Draco never did that for him. So yeah, Harry decides to give Draco a chance, telling him he's okay. Then after this, Professor McGonagall calls Harry and Hermione to her and then takes them to her office. Over there, McGonagall reveals that Lupin had informed her about Harry's adverse reaction to the Dementor, as well as his lightning blast, which Harry explains to her about him being able to use wandless magic to create lightning blast, which he kind of imagined it, but he was able to use it for the first time during the basilisk, and that's how he was able to kill the basilisk. Basically, the whole school knows that he killed basilisk, which kind of is shocking. But Hermione also is shocked that Harry never told her about this. But Harry just shows an apologetic face. Anyways, but McGonagall still wants him to be looked at Madame Pomfrey to see if he's ill. Madame Pomfrey confirms that he's fine and he leaves them. After McGonagall's business with Hermione is concluded, they both reach to the Great Hall to find that they have missed a sorting ceremony. Dumbledore announces the two changes in the during the year. Lupin and Hagrid, whose defense against the new defense against the dark arts teacher, and Hagrid, who has been made the care of the magical creatures teacher due to the retirement of some stupid ass teacher. Dumbledore also announces that the Dementors will be stationed around the school as a precaution against plague. And when the lesson starts, Harry, Hermione, and Ron head to the first divination class, and they meet Sybil Trelawney, who predicts the future events using tea leaves. Harry sees a black dog in his teacup, which Trelawney identifies as the Grim, the omen of death. This kind of worries Harry, but not that much because his spider sense isn't tingling, because he also remembers the black dog he saw when he left home, or home, if he should call him home. He doesn't understand. So in the next lesson, McGonagall assures Harry that Trelawney, that stupid ass name, Sybil. I'll just call her the witch. I'll just call her the prediction witch now. The prediction witch has predicted the number of death of the students, none of whom have died. So in the care of the magical creatures, Hagrid teaches them about hippogriffs, who are like horse and eagle type mixture of horse and eagle creatures. Although initially nervous, Harry successfully approaches and rides the grey hippogriff named Buckbeak. Late in the lesson, Malfoy, who has not been listening to Hagrid's lecture, insults Buckbeak, causing it to slash his arm and its talons. He is then taken to the hospital wing, and Hagrid fears that he will take the blame for letting Buckbeak attack Malfoy, even though Malfoy provoked it in the first place. Harry and the trio offer to help him clear Buckbeak. This makes Hagrid finally sober up and realize that Harry is there. He angrily tells Harry off for leaving the castle after dark and escorts the trio back to the Gryffindor personally. Later in the week, in potions, Malfoy returns with a heavy damaged arm. Although it is implied he was exaggerating the seriousness of the injury, there's no way to prove it. But Harry knows a way to prove it, but he's not going to prove it just yet. He wants to have a perfect chance. Harry learns that the Black has been sighted near Hogwarts. So during the lesson, Malfoy hints that Black may be connected to Harry's past. So in the defense against the dark arts, Lupin teaches the third year about Boggarts, shapeshifters that take the shape of a person's worst fear. The class then takes on the Boggart, forcing it to assume the shape they find assuming. When it comes to Harry's turn, he shows that the Boggart will turn to a Dementor, because I think he thinks he's scared of it, but the Boggart doesn't even change. It doesn't just change, it's just there. But Lupin jumps in and repels the Boggart for him. Faced by Lupin, the Boggart takes the shape of a moon. Harry is disappointed that Lupin does not let him fight the Boggart, thinking that Lupin feels he's not up to the task. So in October, the Gryffindor Quidditch team practices hard for the upcoming Quidditch season, especially since this is their captain's Oliver Wood's final year at Hogwarts. Oliver believes that despite the misfortune which occurred during the previous 2 years, the team should be able to win the Quidditch match before he graduates. Third year also visiting Hogsmeade on Halloween, and Harry is allowed because his uncle Death signed his permission form. In the canon, Harry did not go because Oaf did not sign his permission form, but this time Vernon signs it. So Harry then spends the day in Lupin's office, drinking tea with him. Lupin tells him that he did not let Harry face the Boggart because he did not want the Boggart to become Voldemort. Shortly after, Snakes appears with a mysterious potion for Lupin, and Lupin claims that he simply has an illness, and it is aided by the potion. A few hours later, Ron and Hermione return, and reach uh, they reach the portrait of the fat lady and see it slash, and the fat lady is gone. Peeves, the ghost, reveals that he saw her flying through another portrait after Sirius Black attacked her for not letting him to Gryffindor's tower. Dumbledore, Fudge, and Percy seek her out. Every student is moved in the grand hall to sleep while the teachers search for the castle. They fail to get any sign of Black, and Snape suggests that someone inside the castle had helped Black gain entry, but Dumbledore refutes this argument. No one talks about anything but Sirius Black for the next few days. The big fat lady doesn't return to work until Black is caught. Because of this, Dumbledore is forced to replace her with a Mad Knight. Nobody in the Gryffindor is happy because he changes the password twice a day, and he's annoying, but there's nothing that can be done for the pitchers who wanted to do the job because of what happened to the fat lady. Meanwhile, because of the attack, an annoyed Harry gets placed under surveillance. Teachers find excuses to go down the halls with him. Percy Weasley, acting on his own mother's orders, follows him everywhere like a dog. Professor McGonagall decides to reveal the truth to Harry, but Harry reveals that he already knows the truth about Black after him. McGonagall explains that she doesn't want Harry practicing Quidditch in the evenings because Harry says that he got to train. McGonagall agrees and decides to ask Hooch to be present. Gryffindor's first Quidditch match is up, but due to Malfoy's supposed injury, the Slytherin cannot play. The Gryffindor play with Hufflepuff instead. So on the day of the match, Lupin becomes ill and Snape teaches his class for him. Oddly, he ignores Snape's syllabus and instead gives a lesson on werewolves and assigns the class to write an essay on werewolves. This kind of is a suspicion for Harry, but he doesn't care right now. So anyways, during the match it is raining badly and Harry sees a large dog resembling the Grim, #Grim, in the topmost empty corner of the road seats in the Quidditch stadium. Harry, whose spider sense isn't tingling, he just takes it, doesn't put anything of it, but he still keeps this in mind for future users. While playing, the Dementor entered the match trying to suck the happiness out of Harry, but Harry uses his venom blast in front of everyone, causing the Dementors to run away. But due to it raining, the venom blast kind of multiplies and hits himself, and Harry faints and falls from his broomstick. Harry realizes that the scream he had been hearing during the fall is Dementor. Is the induced fainting spells is the mud. Okay, sorry. So when he falls, some more Dementor come attack him, and Harry gets his happiness sucked out of him, and he hears his mother in her last moments. Dumbledore saved Harry, but his Nimbus 2000 broomstick flying into the whooping wallow and is destroyed. Hufflepuff wins the match shortly afterwards. After the match, Harry wakes up at the hospital wings and learns about what happened, including Oliver Woods has declined Hufflepuff captain offer of a rematch. Alarmed by the adverse effects that Dumbledore have on him, Mrs. Pomfrey insists that Harry stay in the hospital wing for the rest of the weekend. The following week, Lupin is back to teaching class and states that the class doesn't have to write the essay Snape has assigned for them. The Hermione has finished hers. After class, Harry goes to Lupin to wondering why the Dementors affect him so much. Lupin explains about Dementors like fear they pull horror from a person's past, which is why just before he faints, Harry hears his mother screaming before he dies, and that's why Dementors affect him worse than anyone else. This realizes that Harry has a big nightmare which he's trying to hide, which Lupin can't really do anything. So Harry asks Lupin if he can give him private lessons for the spell to fight off Dementors in case another one arrives at the Quidditch match. Lupin says he will, but after the Christmas holidays. Telling him about his illness. Then the Quidditch team goes to the Quidditch team gets a chance. Gryffindor gets a chance to run back to the Quidditch Cup. Harry, who's using the old broom for training sessions, is busy looking for a new broom for himself, so Gryffindor can stand a chance in the remaining matches. During the last weekend before the holidays, the eligible students visit Hogsmeade, and Harry is able to go. So everyone basically they go off, but Fred and George reveal that they want to give some Christmas present to Harry, so they gave him the Marauder's map as a Christmas present and instruct him on how to use it. It shows Hogwarts secret passages, corridors, classrooms, offices, common rooms, etc., as well as every person's locations within the castle and the grounds. Harry then keeps the Marauder's map to himself. He then meets Ron and Hermione in Hogsmeade, Hogdukes, where they're discussing what kind of sweets to try with Harry. They then visit the Three Broomstick, where Cornelius Fudge, Minerva McGonagall, and Flitwick, as well as Rubius Hagrid arrive. Harry then Harry and the trio overhears the conversation between the group, and which discuss how Harry is a close friend of Harry's father. Sirius is a close friend of Hagrid's father, James, and he is Harry's godfather. The group then goes to talk about how Potter's learned how Voldemort had marked them for death by Dumbledore, which was tipped off by a spy. Dumbledore had advised them to go into hiding using the Fedusa's Storm, which reveals the person, which reveals the person or the witch. Okay, basically they use the Fedusa's Storm. Dumbledore, James insists on Sirius being, despite Dumbledore offering to be his family's secret keeper, due to a fear a friend of the Potters had turned traitor and joined Voldemort as a spy because he trusted Black beyond his other friends. Now this. After 1 week, Black sold out Potters to Lord Voldemort, who met his downfall in Harry. This forced Black to run for it. Peter Pettigrew, another of James' friends, comforted Black for the betrayal, and he and 12 muggers were killed by Black in a single curse. Black was taken to Azkaban afterward. It also reveals that Black isn't affected by the Dementors at all. After they leave, Ron and Hermione stare at a devastated Harry. Harry is depressed about the truth that Sirius Black and that no one had ever told him before. Now he is more suspicious of Dumbledore than ever because Dumbledore offered he knew his parents and he's not telling him. This kind of breaks his trust on Dumbledore. Okay, this kind of, I mean, come on, like, think about it. If you kind of look a person who's the strongest, you look up to him, and he knows his parents, he knows your parents, and he doesn't tell them about him. It kind of makes you think they're betraying them. Okay. So, anyways, Harry starts having nightmare about his mom's crying. During the start of the holidays, Ron and Hermione try to console Harry, but Harry chooses to go to Hagrid's house to ask him about Sirius Black, despite Ron and Hermione's protest. When the trio arrive at their house, they find him distraught at Buckbeak's upcoming hearing before the council, and Harry decides it's better to not bring up Sirius Black. Harry reveals that he had a horrible experience with the Dementors during his brief time in Azkaban. He can't set Buckbeak free without the risk to being sent back there. The trio then decide to help Hagrid prepare for this defense for Buckbeak's case. for Christmas. Along with his other presents, Harry receives the best model broomstick ever released, the Firebolt. Hermione is not happy, and when she learns that it came without a note and it's driven out of Harry's and Hermione's and Ron's dormitory after Crookshanks attacks Scabbers. During the Christmas During the Christmas dinner, Hermione reports the mystery gift to McGonagall, who sends it away and have it tested for tampering. Hermione and McGonagall suspect Black might have sent the broomstick and it could have been jinxed. Harry, after realizing this, realizes that he was kind of Hermione's intentions, so it is kind of this. Harry realizes that Hermione is not in the wrong, but this is a smarter Harry. Okay, this is a smarter Harry. So Hermione, him knowing that Hermione had good intentions for reporting the Firebolt, forgives her, but he tells her to talk to him about it. Ron is no longer on speaking terms with Hermione because about the whole broom, and as well as Crookshanks attacking Scabbers non-stop. Meanwhile, Harry starts learning his lessons from Lupin. Lupin teaches Harry the Patronus charm, which takes a time, but it is difficult for him to learn it. Harry learns that Lupin was a friend of his father, James, back during the days at Hogwarts, and also knew Sirius Black as well. In January, the Slytherin beats Ravenclaw and Gryffindor for the Quidditch match, and Gryffindor chances of getting the Quidditch Cup are good as long as they don't lose their own match against Ravenclaw. By February, Harry becomes quite good at producing the Patronus charm after a few lessons, but doesn't master it entirely. At the end of the lesson, Lupin explains the concept of the Dementor's kiss and reveals that it will be Black's punishment. As the kiss, as an article in the Daily Prophet confirms that the Ministry gave the permission to kiss on Black when they find him. While thinking about the horror of the punishment, Harry runs to McGonagall on his way to the Gryffindor Tower, and McGonagall gives Harry back his Firebolt, which has been proven not to be jinxed, and he goes to practice it before the match. Harry then meets up with Ron and decide to go. Harry then tells Ron to make up with Hermione. Outside the Gryffindor Tower, they bump into Neville, who's in trouble because he lost a list. After the pair let him, Neville tells Harry and Ron that he made a list of passwords at the Gryffindor Tower because the guard was changing them twice a day, but they somehow got lost. Harry tries to patch up Ron and Hermione's relationship, but then Scabbard disappears, and when they arrive in the Gryffindor Tower, ruining any chance for Ron and Hermione's reconciliation. As March arrives, a new Quidditch match approaches, Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Harry spends his last practice session after the match getting used to his Firebolt. During the game, just as Harry is about to cast the Sage, Cho Chang, a fourth-year seeker for the Ravenclaw team, screams. Harry then looks around and sees 3 Dementors in the stands. He reacts instantly, sending a full-pitch Patronus with the Dementors. Harry then catches the snitch before Cho Chang, winning the match. Lupin then compliments Harry on his Patronus and shows Harry that the Dementors were really Draco, Crabbe, and Goyle, and Marcus Flint. The Slytherin team trying to sabotage Harry. So the Gryffindor team celebrates, but Ron still refuses to reconcile with Hermione. That night, Ron wakes up to Sirius Black slashing his bed under the boys' dormitory. Everything thinks it might be a nightmare, but the curtains are indeed ripped, and Ron is proved be right beyond any reasonable doubt. While he happily admits that he lets Sirius back into the Gryffindor tower. Back apparently had the whole week's password in a piece of paper. The furious Professor McGonagall demands to know who wrote it down and lost it, which Neville admits responsibility. After another search for the castle takes place, Black evading capture again. The tightest security is placed. Fredwick is teaching the door to recognize Sirius Black and anyways. So once again, after the incident of the portrait, Ron becomes an instant celebrity, which he enjoys. Neville, on the other hand, is in complete disgrace. McGonagall is so furious with him that she strips him of his visitation rights to Hogsmeade for the rest of the school year, gives him detention, and forbids any other Gryffindor to tell him the password. His grandmother, Augusta Logbottom, sends him a howler 2 days later. Harry thinks about what is going on and, about Levi, and realizes that Levi is kind of not guilty because he lost it, but he's still guilty, but not that guilty as Professor McGonagall, chooses him to be. And Harry realizes that Ron is a kind of selfish guy, while Neville is getting his bad punishment, Ron's just enjoying his new found celebrity. Anyways, Hagrid sends a letter to Harry telling him and Hermione are to meet him in the entrance hall so he can have his hut to tea. After learning that Buckbeak streak in, Harry and Ron learn that Hagrid wants to talk to them on behalf of Hermione. Hagrid mentions that their feud has been hurting Hermione more than they think, and this kind of anyways, so that how she isn't, well, you could say she's on speaking terms with Harry but not with Ron, which is hurting her, her best friend. And despite Hagrid's advice, Ron's anger reignites when Hermione threatens to tell McGonagall about the Marauders map, which Harry plans to use to find to find what the hell is going on in the school. Harry realizes Ron is, for some reason Ron is angry quickly. Harry then uses his invisibility cloak with his Marauder's map to visit Shrieking Stack, which is there. Anyways, so they the danger trio, Malfoy, Crabble, and Goyle come up there and try to provoke Ron and Harry using his curse. Attacking the trio, and Malfoy catches a glimpse of Harry's head. Malfoy later reports the incident to Snape, who integrates Harry after he returns from Hogsmeade. Harry then finds the Marauders map, but he's not able to discover what it is, and instance become bombarded by insults from the map's makers. Lupin is summoned and is claimed in ignorance about the map, and Ron shows up and claiming that the map is Zonko product, which it's like he makes up some stupid excuse. Afterwards, Lupin brings Harry to the entrance hall, where he confiscates the map and reprimands Harry for not handling for something that could have aided in Black's capture. He also scolds him for risking his life to find Black alone, thus undervaluing his parents' sacrifice. This kind of pisses off Harry because his parents sacrificed his life for him. So why is Lupin shouting him? But Harry's a teenager; he would think like that. Harry and Ron come back to the Gryffindor, Gryffindor Tower, where Hermione informs them about the ministry and execution of Buckbeak. Buckbeak, this kind of impending in execution kind of disconcerts Ron and Hermione's friendship, I guess. And yeah. Anyways, so Harry is, for Ron and Hermione work on appealing for a big case, while Harry was busy with Quidditch match for the final match. Malfoy mocks Hagrid during one of his classes, and Hermione smacks him with a phrase. She skips charms in divination. Harry finally explodes and drops the class. In the May, Quidditch takes place. Gryffindor and Slytherin. Gryffindor wins. Wait a second. Gryffindor wins, but Harry, catches another glimpse of the dark, but this time with Crookshanks during the morning. But he just thinks about it, but he still captures it. So, anyways, the students take their end of the exams in June, and Buckbeak's execution is scheduled on the exam, and Harry realizes that he has to do something while still can. And Hermione, Harry and Hermione and Harry go towards once again. Hermione, Harry and Ron go with they decide to save Buckbeak, and while they meet Dumbledore, the Fudge and the representative of the committee, who's the executioner, and Buckbeak is then apparently executed. Hermione hugs Harry, crying on his shoulder, and Harry just rubs her back, which Ron doesn't like it much a bit, but he really can't tell anything. So, anyways, Scabbers escapes from Ron, gasps afterwards. Harry, Ron, and Hermione run after him, spot a black dog with Crookshanks. After Ron catches Scabbers, the dog grabs Ron by the arms and pulls him to the passage under the Weeping Hollow, breaking his leg in the process. Harry, Hermione, and Crookshanks fall after them. The passage leads them to the Shaking Scrags, I don't know how it's called, where they find Ron, Scabbers, and Sirius Black. He's the animagus form of the black dog, who was the one who dragged Harry with kind of his anger, like blinding him, and he overpowers and subdues back. Then Lupin arrives at that time, and she's accused by Hermione for being Black's accomplice and a werewolf. Hermione deduced during Snape's lesson, and Lupin has always been absent on the nights of the full moon, and Lupin accepts this. He explains that he found out where Harry, Hermione, and Ron were going through in the murderous map, and since he was the one who actually helped create it, he came to them. He also asked that he supposedly saw a dead person on the map with the trio, who is Peter Pettigrew, who has been living for the years as Scabbers. Hermione and Ron and Harry first refused to believe Pettigrew is alive, but then Harry realizes that his spider sense, which has been tingling from the first year to the third year, and then he believes what Lupin is trying to say. But Lupin convinces Black to tell Harry the truth, and Lupin tells a story about his time as Hogwarts, bitten as a child, Dumbledore precautions, and stuff like that. And Harry realizing, Lupin, the whole story about the four marauders, the three marauders, Peter Pettigrew, James Potter, and Sirius Black, changing themselves into animagus for Lupin's whole things, and that being Parrot, Foot, and Prongs. After this, Snape arrives to arrest Lupin and Black, but Harry, Ron, and Hermione, who is curious to hear the rest of the story, disarm Snape, and Sirius reveals that he broke out of Azkaban after seeing the Weasleys in Egypt. He saw Scabbers and he immediately recognized it was Pettigrew in his animagus form. And he realized that then he would leave out of the Azkaban. He would come here, kill Scabbers and protect Harry, which he was supposed to do. And yes, so anyways, so according to Black, Pettigrew was Potter's secret keeper. Sirius believed that he was too obvious of a choice to become the secret keeper, and the last minute convinced James and Lily to pick Pettigrew so he could become a decoy, not even telling Dumbledore or Lupin about the sudden change of plan. But he didn't realize that Pettigrew was an enemy for Voldemort. Then Pettigrew, reveals James and Lily's hiding space after Potter's murder, and Sirius confronted Pettigrew, who killed 12 murders and faked his own death by cutting his finger and turning into a raptor and escaping, framing Black for his crimes. Sirius was innocent all along, and Harry excuse me. So, anyways, so after that they interrogate Peter, who is captured, and Harry and what's his name? Sirius Black have a heart-to-heart, where Black wants Harry to live with him, and yes. So, anyways, but after that, the full moon comes in, and as like always, werewolf time. Lupin goes werewolfy and attacks the first person in front of him, that being Harry. But Harry, with his immense skills and basically his ability to dodge his spider sense, his reflexes, his electrokinetic blast, he dodges it and jumps onto Lupin and uses the venom blast to not knock him out, to shock him, but it doesn't knock him out. But that's when you could say that's when Black comes in and tries to save Harry, but he really isn't doing that much. Lupin, what is his name? Yeah, Black runs off deep into the forest with Harry following him, and there he reaches 100 Dementors arrive there and try to suck the happiness from Harry, Hermione, and Black. He tries to kiss. The Dementors try to kiss on both of them. Yeah, Hermione also came with him, by the way, because Ron is knocked out. But anyways, Harry then uses his Patronus charm. No, Harry doesn't use it, right? Yeah, Harry doesn't use his Patronus charm, but he can use his lightning blast, but he's knocked out. But before he can faint, he sees a familiar figure across the lake to conjure a powerful Patronus that drives all the Dementors away. Harry, Hermione, and Ron are taken to the hospital wing, and Black is taken to the tower, where he sentenced to the Dementor's kiss. When Dumbledore arrives, Harry and Hermione tell him what has happened, but Dumbledore turns up. Even though he believes them, he could not save Black, as the evidence against him is too great. Snape had lied about what happened earlier to Colonel Fitch, and the minister will not take any word of the underage students seriously. Hermione then reveals her time lock. I forgot what its name was. The time turner, which she got from McGonagall for the whole, for different classes. So Harry and Hermione travel 3 years to the past, watching them move towards the previous events. They realize that Dumbledore wanted them to travel 3 years back, but not to save Black, but also free Buckbeak and both of them. After narrowly escaping with Buckbeak at the right moment before McCall can execute him, so Dumbledore and Hagrid would not be accused of setting Buckbeak free. Harry and Hermione hide in the Whooping Hollow to wait for the other Harry and Hermione and everyone else to happen the same thing. This time, Harry tells Hermione about the man he saw around the lake and how he thinks it was his father who conjured the Patronus. After 2 hours following Lupin's transformation, Harry decides that they need to head back to Hagrid's cabin, so Lupin doesn't attack them. After Hermione decides to distract the Lupin from the main cast, she howls and the wolf starts following them, which Harry thinks it's quite idiotic. But the werewolf comes in and anyways, Harry then sees him fight it. Harry then sees that the wolf is in front of him. Harry decides to fight him. Harry then starts like in a box stance, and Hermione thinks that Harry is gonna die, but Harry then jumps, dodges, punches, kicks, electroblasts the werewolf left and right, knocking him out. Yes, Sirius Black is knocked out. Anyways, Hermione is shocked that Harry was able to defeat a werewolf, but not much time as they hear screaming. And when they go there, they see the other Harry, almost getting kissed. But Harry then uses his powerful conjures a Patronus and drives all the Dementors away. Then he realizes that he didn't see his father but himself. So he then. After they realize that Harry was the other guy, Harry and Hermione then fly Bugbeak up to West Tower and rescue Black. Harry and Sirius they say their final goodbyes, and Sirius flies away on Bugbeak. Harry and Hermione make it back to the hospital wing just in time for Dumbledore to magically lock the door. And Snape's arrive with what is his name? Fudge to blame Harry for freeing Black. But anyways, Harry and Hermione come back, and shortly after they leave, Ron wakes up with his unconscious state. The next day, while most of the students are at Hogsmeade, the trio learns that Lupin is resigning because Snape told the Slytherin house about Lupin's secret. Harry then goes to see Lupin and is unable to say Lupin's mind, since Lupin does not want to risk endangering students again. Lupin then asks Harry about what happened now he was knocked out, and Harry then explains about the spider bite, the powers he got after the spider bite, how it changed his life, and stuff like that to Lupin. Lupin is shocked. Lupin then gives Harry back his invisibility cloak, Marauder's map, and leaves with Dumbledore to catch his carriage. Later, while talking to Dumbledore, Harry feels bad for not letting Lupin and Black kill Pettigrew, realizing that he was a servant that could have aided with Voldemort's return from the Weird Witch's prophecy. Dumbledore reminds Harry that he saved Black, an innocent man, from a terrible fate. Anyways, Dumbledore then mentions that Harry has some of his father's qualities, and which is why his Patronus looks like in the form of prongs. Harry then leaves Dumbledore with fuming because he realized that Dumbledore has been lying to him this whole time, and now he's like a grandfather figure to him, kind of, who trying to become a grandfather figure to him, but he's not gonna believe him anymore. He's gonna trust Dumbledore, but not like fully trust him. He's gonna have some backup plan or stupid like that. Anyways, the Gryffindor wins both the Quidditch Cup as well as the House Cup, and while going back to London by aborting, then the school ends. Hermione mentions to Harry that she gave the time turner back. It caused too much stress. So, anyways, Ron plans to invite Harry to the Quidditch World Cup, which since his fathers can get tickets from work. Anyways, So then a tiny girl from Black arrives the train with the letter, and Black reveals that he is traveling far away from Hogwarts to cause any further problems, and he thought Harry the firebolt. So anyways, Harry then realizes that no, since whatever, Harry and the gang reach the home, and Ron, before saying goodbye, tells him that he will contact Harry about the finals of the Quidditch World Cup, and Harry goes back with Uncle Vermin to the Dabas house. Harry is happy that he has a true family member who he can depend on, and mentions that he is the godfather who has escaped from a wizard prison, and is well, he scares Uncle Vernon even more. So anyways, and that's it for this episode, guys. I know it's taken a long time, but thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, like, share, subscribe, do this necessary stuff, and if you don't, I can understand. Peace out.